song, you guys. It's changing. Hi, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in today. How is everybody? So it's been crazy. Do you guys ever have stuff that you've wanted to do, and you haven't done it because you're scared? Or you're worried what other people are going to think? Well, I can fall into those categories many, many times in my life. And so, friends of mine have said to me that are not sober, that are like, I want to listen to your podcast, but I'm not sober. Or I meet people out in public and I'm like, they're like, what's the name of your podcast? And I'm like, Busy Living Sober. And they're like, well, I'm not sober. I have people that writing to me that want to come on my show and talk about things that don't have to do with sobriety. Like Ann Vucek, she didn't talk about sobriety. She just talked about Medjugorje and what the Vatican said. And the guest the week before was Father Dan Rahill, and he spoke about what was going on in our world in terms of God. And where I am today, I've been waking up at in the middle of the night and going, oh my gosh, should I change the name of my podcast? And I just came flooding. So 4 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning, sorry, I still have a little cough. Get up at 4 a.m. and my brain God's just like, change the name of the podcast. So I'm changing the name. It's going to be the last one of Busy Living Sober. It's going to be $4.99, which is going to be in about a week, 2 weeks. Around episode 500 is going to be called Conversations with Busy. Now, am I fearful about this? Yes. Am I scared you guys are going to leave that are my loyal followers? I'm scared, but I'm not so scared. I was talking to my friend Belle, who was on a couple weeks ago, and I said to Belle, I called her because she's a brand expert. So you speak to brand experts if you're looking to change your brand, right? So I called my brand expert and I say, you know what? This is something I want to do. And what is my fear? And I talked it out with her. And I said, my fear is what? I don't have any fears. What's the worst thing? People don't listen to me, and then I just go away, and then I just float away, and I'm done. And I've been doing this podcast for 8 years, 500 episodes. Am I going to make it to 1,000 episodes? I have no idea. But I know that staying in this place of Busy Living Sober and just talking about sobriety is too limiting for me. It's been 8 years. I've been talking about being sober for 8 years. You guys have pretty much heard every story I have about sobriety. And I've said them over and over again. So some of the stories, I'm sure you're like, I could tell this story. I've already heard her say this. Or I can tell her what the antidote is because I've already heard her say it. And I don't want to bore you. I don't want to bore me. That's the real truth. I mean, we've been talking about sobriety, and I am up on so many other topics, as well as let's just face it, politics. Okay, let's just do a little segue into that. How excited are we? Last week, my podcast was crazy that I actually went on at 3:30 in the morning like a crazy person. But I promise to get you guys stuff. I promise to be out there on Wednesdays. So if you're a loyal listener, I want you to go and not be like, where is she? She didn't put anything out. So here we are a week later, and we've let the dust settle. We have a new president coming into office. Lots of changes are already happening. And I think that the women that he's chosen for the cabinet positions are amazing. Susie Wells, I think, as his oh my gosh, is the chief of staff is going to be amazing. Amazing. She did a great job with the election. It's just so great, you guys. Do you feel it in the air? It's like no matter where you go, you're like, wow, it just feels lighter. People aren't like, oh my gosh, anymore. I felt like in the life for the past almost 4 years has been like an alter universe, right? It's been this place where it's like, oh my gosh, is this happening or that happening? And oh my gosh, did you go to the store and have to pay that amount of money for groceries? Did you have to pay $7 for butter? I mean, if you buy organic butter, or if you want, you can't even afford to buy organic for your kids if you wanted to. It was like, forget it. The regular stuff was just as expensive as the organic was. And we're sitting here going, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to do this any longer? And God listened, because I think that there had to be some divine intervention in what just occurred. There was, I still receive like mean things on Facebook by people I don't even know or care about, and they send me stuff. And so I just got one today from somebody who's just obviously not happy about the results of the election, and she's spewing her, like telling me that I'm some whatever. And it's so interesting because guess what I do? Like if I hear if people are saying stuff, rather than groveling, I just block them. I'm like, I don't need this in my life. Like, just go away. I mean, let's face it, the most important people in our lives are our families, and then our friends that actually make the icing on the cake, but even better. That's all that matters, right? All this other noise and everything else does not matter. So these people on Facebook that come and give you their opinion that you don't even ask for, you're like, at least I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to delete that comment. Thank you. And I'm going to block you. And I'm done. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I want to be around, I like being around like-minded people. I do hear the other side, and I understand, and I feel badly but I truly believe that God is good. And what we were living in before was really scary. For almost 4 years, I was scared a lot. I was filled with anxiety. I was like, and on a personal note, things have happened in my family, and it's that have been kind of sad and bummed me out, and I kind of whatever. It's been hard. So I am really happy for that January's coming, not to speed up time, because we have all these exciting holidays coming, with Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so I want to focus on the good stuff. I've already started Christmas shopping. Have you guys? It's been crazy. Oh my gosh. And then I don't know if any of you moms out there listening to this can relate to doing something really stupid with one kid, and then you have to keep doing it with all three kids, or four kids or five kids or 10 kids or two kids, whatever it is. And you did something and you're like, I'm going to do this, and it's such a great idea. So I decided when my oldest son turned 25, I was going to get him 25 presents. I'm like, this is a big deal. He's 25. I'm going to get him 25 presents. Well, then I did it for my daughter, and now I had to do it for my other son. And his birthday is December 14th. So not only is it his birthday, but it's Christmas. I'm going to get him 25 presents. And then for Christmas, what am I going to get him? I'm going to get him another one. So we're going to take it, to 30 presents for this kid. Crazy. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea when I did it. I wasn't obviously thinking, because I would have thought, wait, that's not a good idea. But it's been, so anyway, I'm going to change the name of the podcast to Conversations with Bizzy. And so then if you hear something really great and you like it and you want to share it with your friends that literally don't have a drinking problem, you can say, here, go listen to this. Now, does this mean I'm going to stop having people with recovery stories on? No. I am going to continue to do stories about people that are in recovery, but I'm going to actually sprinkle it with actually different people that are maybe not in the recovery realm. And I think that'll be fun. Do you agree? I hope you agree. If you don't, we'll see in the numbers, and one way or the other, I'm just trying it. I'm trying it. What's the worst thing that happens? I don't think there is a worst thing that happens. I think, we already just lived through the worst thing that could happen, and now the light's coming back. So whatever happens, happens. And if it's meant to be that you guys are going to keep following me, which I hope you will, then that's what's going to be meant to be. And that's what's going to be meant to be. So this week has been, I got to go back. I'm jumping around so much today, you guys. And so we talked about the election and how happy I am about that. And then I'm getting ready to deal with a wedding. My son's getting married in like 2 years, not even 2 years, less than 2 years. Dealing with that, with an ex-spouse who isn't always the easiest to deal with. He doesn't answer my phone calls. Really nice. And we've been divorced for like 300 years. It's kind of crazy. And it's really getting comfortable. And Um, and knowing that God is everywhere and trusting that is really where I'm at, you guys. It is so basic. I ended up going and spending the weekend with friends, and we were celebrating the election with dear friends of mine who still live on Amelia Island. And I got there, and where they live, the internet doesn't work very well. So I didn't have any internet while I was there. If any of you guys been anywhere recently where you didn't have any internet, at first you're like, that feels uncomfortable. What am I going to do? I can't get on the internet. I can't look on social media. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And after about a couple hours, you're like, wait, this is kind of nice. I don't have to look at social media because I can't. I don't have to read my email because I can't. All I have to do is just sit here and enjoy the people that I'm around. And that was really so nice. A lot of things that have been, I've had a lot of stuff going on and with people in my life. And I took this time out and I just really thought about things and really it put some things in perspective for me. That time, like that time out that we get without the noise, without the internet, without the phone, with just being with the people you're with. And, they had football on and I actually ended up taking a nap for almost an hour in a chair. Okay, that never happens because at home I always have to go do something, right? You have to vacuum, you have to make dinner, you have to do laundry, you've got to do something with your pets. Always got something to do. But it was just relaxing. It was quiet. It was raining. It was gray. It was just perfect. And I took a nap. And from that, all these things that have been going on in my head, like all these things I've been worried about, all these relationships that I have in my life that some needed to be harnessed and changed and all that, it gave me an opportunity to actually have time to get a view of things from like 10,000 feet and look down on my life and say, I got to change this. 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 And this is okay. I've got to change, not the other person. And it gave me the opportunity to look at things and where I'm responsible for things and where I have to change the way I've been acting because I act like it's all okay for the things the way people have been treating me. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's not okay. That's not okay. That is not okay. That doesn't feel right. And getting that time out gives you the ability to look at things in your life. And it's interesting. And now I'm going to actually talk about recovery because, when people are getting sober, a lot of people, I would say more than not, end up going to treatment facilities. And they go to them for 28 days, 14 days, whatever it is, 7 days. And the reason for it, and they turn in their phones and they just sit. And I think the real reason for that is that we need a break. We need a break. We all need a break. And especially if you're in your active alcoholism or drug addiction. And I just think in life these days, there's been so much since the introduction of these cell phones, which I don't even have one in the room with me, but with the introduction of cell phones and social media and all this stuff, it's just, I don't know if any of us were prepared for the noise, how it was going to affect us, how it was going to affect our bodies, how it was going to affect our children, how it was going to affect our relationships, how it was going to affect everyday life. I don't think any of us looked at it like that. I don't think any of us had a crash course in this is what you have to do and this is how you have to act when you are living in a world that's constantly on film. And how do you do that? How do you do that? And how do you do it? And sometimes it becomes so much that you're like, I need a break. And so the people who are alcoholics and drug addicts go to rehab facilities and they get taken off all that stuff right away. And for us, now that I'm sober a long time, and for if you're out there and you're listening and you're not an addict, for you, how are you going to put this into your life? How are you going to find time to say, you know what, I'm done. I need a break from this whole thing. I got to turn it off. I know it's going to be hard. I know for my work or for my relation, whatever it is that you've think you need it. I think taking a break from it on a regular basis is really important. I go to dinner a lot, and I watched it just this weekend again. I watched this couple walk into a restaurant. I was sitting there with two of my girlfriends, and I watched this couple literally walks in. They take a seat at the restaurant, and the entire time they're on their cell phones. The entire time. Not like kind of on their cell phones, like the entire time. They're sitting there on their phones. And I said to my friends, I said, why did they even come to dinner? I mean, they're on their phone the entire time. They're not even talking to each other. Why did they have to come out of their house to come do this here? Why don't you just stay at home and be on your phones? Like, you're going to go and take your life to a restaurant and sit there with your spouse or boyfriend. I don't know who he was. Maybe it isn't even their brother. I have no idea. But they sat down and then we're on the phones. And I'm like, we're missing the good stuff, you guys. We're missing companionship. We're missing time together. We're missing relationships, healthy relationships. How do we do that? How do we take time to say, you know what? All this noise is too much, and I'm just going to leave my cell phone at home. I'm going to leave it in the car when I go to a restaurant. I'm going to go out tonight and not have it with me. For Saturdays, I'm not going to have it. When I sit down to dinner with my kids, I'm going to have them put them in a basket and say, here, just put all your phones in a basket. I mean, we all know that there are studies out there that it's obviously better for you if you put it down, right? It's not like I'm telling you something you haven't already heard from 10 million other people. But doing it just because you want to, and you're just like, I'm sick of, I don't need to hear why it's good and why it's bad. I just know inside of myself it's not good and it's not bad. Kind of like my changing of the podcast name. I know it's done. It's done. I've done it for 8 years. I'm done. It's time to pivot. You're doing something you don't like. Pivot. Change it. Churn. Do something different. You know, it makes life so much richer. I mean, I think that I might dare to say that social media and cell phones have cheapened our lives in a lot of ways. I mean, yeah, it's great when you go out and somebody has like a trivia question like, what year was John Adams president? Or what year did John Adams die? And how bad was John Adams and Thomas Jefferson's relationship? And so you get details. So you go onto your phone and you look for details. That I find is cool. But to go and see what your neighbor's doing down the street or what they got for dinner, it's kind of like, who cares? I don't want to. I don't care. I do not care about that, but I do care about history, and I do care about people's stories. And that's what Busy Living Sober is all about, is sharing people's stories. I just want to share more and more and more people's stories in a safe environment here on this podcast. Like, share your story. Tell me what your adventure's been like, or what it hasn't been like, or what have you been carrying around that you're ready to be free of it and you just want to tell the world. You know, I have, it's so crazy. You know, these stories we have inside of us that kept us, especially when we were young, when we did, like, I know for me, I had, I had a lot of trauma. At some point, I'm going to go into my stories and maybe share everything. And because I had so much shame for the things that have happened to me during my life, and especially when I was young. And I was so scared that nobody was going to like me if they heard my story. And I thought they'd judge me and I'd be alone. And the reality is that I think telling each other stories gives you freedom. I've heard many people say to me in my life, I'm a private person. I just don't want anybody talking about me. I'm very private. I'm like, because you're ashamed. That's why you're private. What do you have to be private about? What is there that you can't? I mean, obviously, you're not going to share things that are none like maybe how your health, what's going on with your health, or things like that. But there are things that if you do share, your load will be lightened substantially if you tell your story. And I feel like I have a great guest coming on Monday. Very good. An old friend of mine, Shondi Sherritt, and she has a jewelry company, and her story she shared for the first time on in a public space with me, and that I'm going to share with you guys next Monday. And she's like, "This is the first time I've ever shared this story on a public," and I could tell that it's just free. Gosh, it's just so freeing. So if you're out there and you're just a person, and either you're an alcoholic, you're not an alcoholic, whatever you are, and you have a story that you think that I should hear, please reach out to me and share it with it. Let me know at elizabeth@elizabethchance.com. I would love to get more and more people's stories out in the world so we can help each other and make this world more of a place of compassion and love instead of a place of divisiveness. This woman claimed to me, the one on Facebook that I deleted and blocked earlier today. She complained that I am divisive. That I am divisive. If I am divisive, I apologize. I am not trying to be divisive. I am just trying to share my experience, strength, and hope. And if it doesn't ring true to you, and you feel like I'm being divisive, I'm just sharing my opinion. And I feel like the craziest thing is I feel like God has given me the voice and the chutzpah, for lack of a better word, to be able to get on here and not care. It's like, I don't care. It's okay. If you don't like me, it's okay. I'm not trying to be divisive, though. So I do believe that, there's reasons that I will get into in the future why I think even more why the world we've been living in is just so crazy and dark. It's crazy. It's dark. It's not the world I thought I'd be living in, I have to tell you guys, at this age of 56. I'm kind of excited because I like who I am now, and I've lived through a bunch of shit and parents dying and a bunch of other drama. I just found out that one of my relatives just passed away. It's kind of sad. I hope her family's okay. And I found out that an old dear friend of mine just passed away. That he was my first boyfriend after I got sober. And not when I got sober. What am I talking about? When I got divorced from the father of my kids. He just passed away. He was 76. He was fun. Let me tell you, I had fun. I definitely wasn't sober when I was with him. And this was like I was crazy, you guys, as you can imagine. And I dated a gossip columnist. And he was wild and crazy and fun. And I met him at a wedding because we were both wearing the same shoes, these loafers that everybody in the world wears. So it wasn't kind of that crazy that we were wearing the same ones because I feel like everybody has them. But we were wearing them. And he was the first person that I was with when my marriage broke up. And he was fun. He was fun. And he showed me things I'd never seen before. Las Vegas, New Orleans. I'd never been to those places before before going with him. And of course it ended because I had 3 little kids. He was living in Colorado and I was living in Philadelphia, and it was just geographically not going to happen, but we remained friends. And I needle pointed him a belt. I remember that. And I gave him a sweater from Brooks Brothers. I remember that. And I found out he died this past weekend. And I just wanted to say, I'm thinking of him, and his name's Bill Husted. And Bill, wherever you are in heaven, you were a trip. You were a really fun, loving guy. And wow, that was really fun that he was in my life. And I hadn't spoken to him in many years, though. And but he passed just the other day, and I just wanted to bring this up on the podcast today, just because I know I'm not going to fly to Colorado for a funeral or do any of those things, but I just wanted to just give him a shout out and just say, Bill, you are one of a kind, and you are sorely going to be missed. Those are the things that I think about. Like, sometimes I'm like, wow. And then it's just, life is so, I'm 56. It's like I'm right here in the middle, right? I mean, I hope I'm in the middle and not closer to the end, but as we get older, life just gets richer and it gets more and more things happen. And I have to say that, my trip to Medjugorje that I went on in April, which I literally didn't even really think about what was going to happen, what wasn't going to happen. I didn't go to investigate. That's just not me. I'm not an investigator. I don't dot every I, I don't cross every T. If somebody asks me to do something and it sounds like fun, I normally say yes. And I'm sober, so I don't have to worry about things happening. But when I got asked to go to Medjugorje, and I said to my husband, should I go? And he said, sleep on it. When I said, all right, I'm going to sleep on it. I never slept on anything before in my life, but I did. And I slept on it, and I got up the next day and I said, I'm going to go. And I went, and that trip alone changed my life. It changed my life. Like, the Blessed Mother is now like everything to me. I just love her. I mean, I do a rosary every day, almost. I try to do it every day. And this life that we have is full of so many different phases, and there's good times and there's bad times and there's hard times and there's such happy times and there's such memorable times and there's times that you wish you didn't have to remember. And it all cultivates into be our lives. It's our life. Like, it's so fleeting, right? Like, these people passed, and there was another person that passed I didn't know very well, but he went to a place I went to up in Palm Beach, and he passed away. His heart gave out, and he was a love. Oh my gosh, he's such a handsome man, and he helped so many people get sober, and he passed as well, and his name was Peyton, and he was amazing. And I remember him with he had like shaded Ray-Bans, the guys that wear the shaded, like pink or blue, he had blue Ray-Bans, and just was a dapper dresser and had helped so many people. And so many people come into our lives, and touch us. And sometimes it's for an instant, and sometimes it's for generations or decades, I meant. And enjoying those times and not taking them for granted. And knowing, this relationship that I have now with God has given me this ability to, for one, believe in more things that are happening in the world, and given, life isn't so heavy. Life is beautiful. Life is beautiful, and pivoting is beautiful, and staying the same is beautiful. But just knowing intuitively who you are inside, knowing when it's time to make a change, knowing when you're just so content in the moment that you're in. So amazing. Life is such a journey. It's crazy. It's amazing. It's so amazing, this life. And this changing the name in 2 weeks to Conversations with Bizzy. I'm going to have to come up with a new song. Do you guys have any ideas for songs? Are any of you songwriters listening? Do any of you have friends that are songwriters that are listening that could help me? Email me, elizabeth@elizabethchance.com. Let me know, what is a good song? What do you think? Because for so long I've been singing this, I'm not going to sing it right now because I'm singing it in a minute. But what do you guys think? What should my song be? Are you excited that I'm changing my name? What are your thoughts on that? Reach out to me. Will you? Reach out to me. If you're a listener, I would be so grateful if you did. This whole month that I've done, November, has been all about Christianity, because I think it's so important. We're coming up to, when Jesus was born on Christmas Day, and the whole month of November has been all about having, is all been about Christianity. It was like Father Dan. Then I had Ann Vucek about the big ruling about Medjugorje. Next week, I have an amazing guest, as I mentioned. It's Shandi Sherrod, who's going to share a story, which is amazing. And then we have a couple more Mondays, I think, in November. And then we have December, and I'm going to do all things about fun Christmas stuff. So I have lots of stuff coming up, lots of stuff in the future, Life is so good. I am so blessed. I'm so blessed to have all of you. If you are a loyal listener, please write into me and let me know what your thoughts are. Please just take the time. You don't understand. I read every email. I promise you. I know somebody keeps texting me on email. It's kind of, I can't respond that way. It won't let me respond. So if you just could email me at elizabeth@elizabethjance.com, I promise you, I will write you right back. And, I want you to know this, you are not alone ever. And I hope you guys are game and excited about my new name change as much as I am. And that's all I have today, you guys. That's all I have. So we'll do it a couple more times, this little jig. So thanks for listening. Come back on Monday. Friday's the newsletter. And just know this, you are not alone. Bible study starts December 1st, by the way, December 1st. We've only like 3 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away, December 1st. Go to my Patreon, www.patreon.com/busylivingsober. We're going to start reading the Bible there with Father Mike Schmitz. We're going to use his book and his Bible. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Please sign up. And until next time, keep getting busy, living sober. Bye, everybody. Talk to you guys next week.